All right, everyone, we have a declutter to do today, and we're gonna declutter all of my foundations. I don't know how many I have, but I do know one thing. It's too many. And here's the thing. I had this reckoning with myself this morning. So I was getting ready, I was doing my makeup, and if you're curious about which foundation I'm wearing the L'Oreal Age Perfect Radiant Serum Foundation. I love this stuff. I love, love, love it. It's a good shade match. Like, I like the way it looks on my skin. I never need to question like how to apply it or if it's gonna be tricky for me that morning. It always works. And so my reckoning I had was I was like, I should feel the way that I feel about like this one, for example, is how I should feel about any of the ones I'm keeping. And so that is kind of my mindset going into this. I want to feel like it is a foolproof foundation that I love, that I know how to use, I know that it looks good on my skin, and anything that doesn't needs to go. This is all going to go bad eventually, all of it. I'm sure there will be a handful of ones that maybe I keep because I'm just not totally sure how I feel about yet, etc. That's always the case given that I do talk about beauty a lot on my channel and I do try stuff out. But a lot of this is gonna go and I'm pretty pumped about it. Let me bring you down. Get your coffee or tea, whatever you're drinking. I actually have a pumpkin spice latte from Dunkin', and I have a question for you. Are you, if you're someone that goes out and gets coffee from time to time, are you a Dunkin' family or are you a Starbucks family? Because I feel like there's a difference. I feel like we're typically a Starbucks family, if you will. We don't get it all the time, but when we're gonna go out and get coffee, that's where we go. But like my brother and sister-in-law are total Dunkin' heads. That's not a thing. But they're kind of convincing me because I tried their, I think it was like their caramel iced coffee, and that is the bomb. This is their pumpkin spice latte. I think that's what they call it. I don't know. And it is very good. Super sweet, but it's really good. So another thing you should probably know is that my skin type is pretty normal. I get a little dry in the winter, but pretty darn normal. My preferences are, I like light to medium coverage. I don't typically go for full coverage products. I tend to like more of a luminous dewy finish. Not too dewy, but I do typically like that. So you know that as I'm sharing my thoughts on these, I definitely have those preferences. So if you know your preferences are different or your skin type is different, some of these I'm getting rid of you might actually like. So just something to keep in mind. Alrighty, so here we are. If you didn't know, I did do a video literally like a couple of weeks ago sharing all about my foundations, sharing like what my most expensive, least expensive one I own is, and the newest and oldest, the one I think is worth the hype, not worth the hype, the one I use every day. Definitely check that video out. I'll link it up in the eye and down below. Okay, I feel like I'm literally talking with my hands, okay? I'm such an idiot, guys. I have had way too much caffeine today. All right, here it all is. I've got like an extra shade of that, I think. So we have a lot. Let's see how many we actually have. 40 foundations, 41, I guess, if you count this. And now I'm realizing I have 3 shades of that. So that's far too many. I would love to have around 10. So if I could cut 30 of these out, that way 30 of them can go to new homes. I've got plenty of sisters and friends and people in my life that would love to try these before they go bad, because some of these are pretty new. All right, let's dive in. I'm like weirdly nervous because I do love so many of these. So let's start with ones I know I would keep no matter what. This is the Covergirl and Olay Advanced Radiance, one of my absolute favorites. This is almost gone, and so that is a definite keep. I probably will repurchase. I have the shade 110. Another one I'm gonna keep is the one I'm wearing today that I mentioned, the L'Oreal Age Perfect Radiant Serum Foundation. This is one that is just, it definitely has a radiant finish, so I always feel like I need to set my T-zone when I wear this, but my skin looks so healthy. It's got like medium coverage, and Rose Ivory is a perfect shade match for me. By the way, the CoverGirl one definitely has a little bit higher coverage. It's kind of a thicker foundation, but in a really pretty way, and it just, I can wear it alone, I can mix it with stuff like this, and it just adds that coverage, and it just spreads so easily on the skin. It's beautiful. And then another one I'm obviously gonna keep, the Missha BB Cream. This is like my ride or die. I've worn this for years. I've repurchased so many times. I typically wear the shade number 23. I also have 21, just kind of depends on my skin that day. And then I also have like a travel size of shade number 23. So I'm keeping all of them. I will go through them. All right, so kind of consolidating here. There are definitely some I'm gonna easily be able to get rid of. I think I'm finally gonna get rid of the Causemetics CC Cream. I keep trying to make it work. Their shades are just bizarre for my skin tone. I have fair and light, and I've tried fair light. None of them work for me. Light is way too dark, fair is way too light. This is marketed as a CC cream, but it is full coverage. This is just a straight up foundation. It's kind of, I don't want to say misleading that they call it a CC cream, but it definitely looks like a foundation, but it's got amazing SPF. I used to really like it, but I think I've just found stuff I like better that has slightly less coverage. But if you can find a shade match, I think it is amazing. But these just don't match me. They're gonna go. The Clinique, even better, I actually really like, but this shade just isn't right, and I keep trying to make it work. It's just too light. It's kind of I know I'm not swatching every single one of these. You can see a lot of these swatched in that other video, but this one is just fine. You can see it's definitely way too, like, comically light for me. It looks nice on the skin though. I do feel like it makes your skin look like skin. It's got a little bit of SPF and I really do like it, but I need to, if I were ever to own it again, I would just need to find a better shade. I'll try to swatch a couple more of these because I'm sure it's helpful to see. Like I said, if you want to see my favorites that I've already decided to keep swatched, they are swatched in the other video. Also, I'm wearing them on my face like in almost every single video, one of those three. So the Maracuja Tinted Hydrator from Tarte, I actually really enjoy. I was kind of surprised. It has light to medium coverage. You can kind of build it up and it's just pretty on the skin. It really is. And so I have the shade 13B Fair Light Beige. It's one I've totally been enjoying. Very, very similar to the Covergirl Clean Fresh Skin Milk, which I also like. These, honestly, I feel like are dupes for each other. So if you didn't want to spend the money, try the Covergirl one. Make sure you even like this type of finish. Again, light to medium coverage max, but it just looks pretty. So I'm keeping the Tarte, and I think I'm going to keep the Covergirl too. The only complaint I have about this Covergirl one is, well, there's two complaints. It kind of smells like bread. I can't explain it. Yeah, it smells like bread to me. And it's beautiful on the skin, but they get these little like white dots throughout. And it's been doing that ever since the day I bought it. And I've heard a lot of you guys say the same thing, but it looks so pretty on the skin. I'm willing to overlook it. And so let me know, do you have the little white dots when you apply yours? I try to shake it really well and I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I really do enjoy this. I gotta stretch these leggies out. All right, so continuing on, I'm gonna get rid of the Anastasia Luminous foundation. This is one I actually just recently retried when I filmed that other video, and I was wearing it on my skin, and I just don't love it. It wasn't what I wanted it to be, and it's almost hard to pinpoint what it is about this that I don't like, but every time I put it on my skin, I can't get it to look good on my nose, and on top of that, it just doesn't stay, it doesn't sit the way I want it to, like, it's just not quite my taste, so I'm gonna pass it on. The shade match was okay, it was 150W, but I'm just not a fan, and I'm really, really, really genuinely sad because I really wanted to like this, and it's hard to let this go, but I know I don't like it. So I have a couple of these Revlon Candid Glows. I just feel wishy-washy about these. I kind of feel like I should maybe like tomorrow morning try this and see if I like it or not, but every time I put it on, I can't get it to like look good on my skin. It just kind of moves around, whereas like these other products I feel like blend into my skin and look really nice. This just kind of moved around. So I might put these literally on my vanity, use them tomorrow, decide if I like them or don't, and then declutter from there. So that's my maybe pile. I'm gonna get rid of the Thrive Buildable Blur CC Cream. This actually does kind of remind me of the It Causemetics CC Cream. The shade isn't great, and so I kept telling myself, well, maybe I'll buy a new shade, but I'm like, do I really need it? I don't know. This is just too dark, way too dark for me. But I like, this is a little less thick than the It Cosmetics CC Cream. Let me kind of give you a comparison here, because they're similarly priced and they're very, very similar products, but the It Cosmetics a little bit thicker. They have a similar finish on the skin. I think the Thrive one looks a little bit better on my skin than the It Cosmetics one. But yeah, I mean, again, shade match wise, it's not great. If I ever needed something like this, I probably would go for the Thrive and, like I said, get a better shade. This is in the shade Light. So I wanted to use this up. I just don't think I'm going to. This is from La Mer. I used a good amount of this. I've had this for way too long. Like, it's definitely expired. It's beautiful. Guys, this is $120. I would never buy this again, never spend that amount on foundation again, because I just don't think it's any better than all these other ones I already love. And it has the strongest smell. Like, I wish they would have left the smell out of it. So wouldn't recommend. This is a very close drugstore dupe to this called the Healthy Foundation from Physicians Formula. I like this so much better, and they're very similar looking on the skin. And of course, this is literally like 1/10 of the price. I'm gonna finally get rid of this. I might just toss it because it, like I said, it's pretty old and there's not a ton left in it anyway. Another crazy expensive one I'm sad to get rid of, but this one just didn't work. This is the Pat McGrath Labs Sublime Perfection Foundation. I bought this with my own money, as I did a good amount of this stuff I did buy with my own money. Since I did stop accepting a lot of PR a while ago, most of this was bought with my own money, actually. It just didn't work for my skin. I think if you have normal to dry skin, I don't think you'd like it. It's really expensive. It just looked, it made my skin look older than it really is. It didn't sit right anywhere on my skin, not just like in the center of my forehead, but like everywhere it looked bad. So I'm gonna pass this on. All right, moving along. Another one I'm still enjoying is the MAC Face and Body Foundation. I have the N1 shade. This is just a really nice everyday foundation. Now, if you have oily skin, I don't think you will like this because it can definitely tend to look pretty, I don't want to say glossy, but like dewy on the skin. It adds a very slight amount of coverage, but I do think it's a little bit more coverage than, say, the Glossier Skin Tint, for example. And I've enjoyed using this. I've been kind of using it off and on this month, and it's a good shade match for me. It's a great everyday quick product to use. Another favorite of mine to keep, the Wet n Wild Dewy Photo Focus Foundation. This shade is perfect for me. It's Shell Ivory, and it's dewy, but it's not overly dewy, like this Josie Maran one we're gonna talk about in a second. This is just gorgeous on the skin. It still has good coverage. I cannot believe how much I reach for this and how much I love it, but I do. Some people are turned off by the little paddle in this. I don't mind it so much, but you know, to each their own. I adore this. Okay, a couple drugstore ones. I'm gonna get rid of the Revlon Color Stay. I talked about that in the other video too. I know, I'll stop talking about the other video. I'm annoying myself. But this is one that, you know, I used to love, but my tastes have changed and it just doesn't look as good on my skin as I remembered it, whether they reformulated or not, or really it could just be that my tastes have changed. But definitely nostalgic, but I think I'm gonna pass it on. This one I have not reached for in 1,000 years. I kept thinking, oh, I'll use it and maybe mix stuff with it, and guess what? I never do, so I'm just gonna pass it on. Was not a big fan of the Maybelline Dream Urban Cover. It was actually a little bit more coverage. It's a full coverage product. I thought it'd be more like a tinted moisturizer. I don't know why I thought that, but I did. And this is, again, more akin to the CC cream where they both got the SPF 50. They're both like fuller coverage, but I wasn't a fan. I don't need that much coverage. This shade wasn't great for me either. It's so hard to match. Would I try this again with a different shade? Maybe, because, you know, it can look pretty-ish on the skin, but I just feel like when you've got the wrong shade, it's so hard to tell if something works for you, especially when it's too light. So passing on. Loved this designer brand's foundation. Arna Elaine sent this to me when we did a collab a while ago. I can link that video below because I sent her some products that are American products I love, and she sent me some more Australian brands. This is gorgeous on the skin. If you can get designer brands where you live, this Luminous Hydrating Foundation is stunning. I think I'm finally gonna let this go. This has a super strong scent. Don't love it. It's the Josie Maran Vibrancy Foundation. It's actually pretty on the skin. It's just too dewy. I kept thinking, oh, well, maybe in the winter I'll use it, and I can't do it. It's too dewy. It just borders on that, and I don't reach for it for that reason. And I'm like, okay, it's been probably over a year at this point. It just needs to go. This Wander Beauty, this was actually pretty. It kind of reminded me of the Physicians Formula one, where it looks like skin, but it's got some coverage, and I actually don't mind the doe foot applicator. So I think I'm gonna keep this. I feel like because I have so many, I haven't reached for this much, but I wanna give this some love because the few times I have used this, it was really pretty, and that's actually a pretty good shade match for me. So need to keep testing. I'm gonna pass on the Airbrush Flawless Finish Foundation from Charlotte Tilbury. This is just a little more coverage than I need, so I don't find myself reaching for it, and I know one of my sisters would be so excited to have this, and if it's just gonna be sitting in my drawer, I'd rather them actually get use out of it. But a Charlotte Tilbury one I do like is the Light Wonder, because it's, again, lighter coverage, and it's really pretty. I've had this a while, so I'm actually trying to use this up. But it's just pretty. It makes the skin look gorgeous. It has that light to medium coverage, and I have so enjoyed using this a lot the past month or two. So I'm gonna keep my NARS Sheer Glow, kind of similar to the Charlotte Tilbury, honestly, similar to a lot of the ones I'm keeping. It's just a really pretty lighter coverage foundation-ish product. I definitely think applying it with your fingers is the way to go. It just looks better that way. I don't know what it is about this product, but that's even how they say to apply it. But it's really pretty applied that way, and actually, I think the MAC Face and Body is also best applied with your fingers. All right, so now we're getting into some nitty gritty here. This is too light for me, the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear. I actually do like this. If I'm gonna go for a fuller coverage foundation, this is one I actually do enjoy, but I need to get a better shade. I'm not gonna necessarily run out and buy it now because, again, I'm just not wearing full coverage a lot, but if I were looking for it, I would consider repurchasing this in a better shade. I have 405, it's just too light. Another fuller coverage product I really enjoy is this NARS Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation. This is kind of my, as if I'm going to events, but this is my event foundation. Like if I were going somewhere really special and I wanted my makeup to last a long time and look flawless, this is something I would reach for because it still looks like skin. It doesn't like totally dry your skin out where you're like, whoa, I'm like a matte Barbie. But it definitely has that beautiful coverage. It looks gorgeous on the skin, especially if you powder. It's gonna last a long time, and it's kind of more of a satin finish, and I really enjoy it. This shade I have is Mont Blanc. I could probably go a shade up, and maybe one day I'll consider it, but this works well enough for me, and so I definitely really like that. I think this kind of makes me sad. This Milk Foundation Sunshine Skin Tint is fine, but again, I have so many products like this and I don't like this application. You just kind of like roll it on and it can look really pretty on the skin. See, this makes me want to try it a little bit more because I don't use it. I don't reach for it because I don't like the applicator, but I haven't used it very much. So let me add this to my maybe pile, maybe try it out a few days in a row, decide if I like it enough to keep it or not. And I'm now seeing it expired now. And actually this expired fast because I bought this like literally this year. I'm gonna keep my Beauty Bakery Instabake. This is another one kind of akin to the NARS one. Definitely fullerish coverage, but looks gorgeous on the skin for that. So if I'm only keeping 2 more full coverage products, these are probably my 2 favorites. So this is 347C. It's a pretty good shade match. This is also beautiful mixed with like tinted moisturizers because it tones this down a bit, but the like finish of this still carries through and it is so pretty. I like this Maybelline BB Fresh. This is one I was so surprised I liked. I think I'm gonna keep the 110. It's kind of in between. I have 100, 110, and 120. Actually, let me swatch all 3. So we've got 100, 110, and 120. I'm gonna keep 110. 100 is just a little bit too yellow. 120 might be good for if I'm like self-tanning. I really don't have anything darker than what I use, so maybe I'll keep 110 and 120. So I'm gonna pass on the Bare Minerals foundation stick. This is just one that I keep trying to make work. I can't get it to stay on my skin. It's super hydrating foundation stick, but it slides off my nose within like an hour. I'm like, I just can't make it work, so I'm gonna finally pass it on. Also gonna pass on the L'Oreal True Match Lumi. I really like Luminous foundation. Maybe I'll like it now. And I still don't like the way it looks on my skin. It kind of reminds me of the Anastasia Luminous foundation where they look very similar on my skin. So if you've been dying to try this, maybe try this. I'm not a fan of either, but you never know. I feel like they're so similar. I really like the CoverGirl Outlast All Day Stay Fabulous. It's a super high coverage foundation, but again, I'm already keeping 2 higher coverage. I don't feel like I need 3 high coverage foundations, so I'm gonna go ahead and pass this one on. It is good though. This Healthy foundation, I thought for sure had already expired. I think I have till next year, so I'm gonna keep it. I really, like I said, this is one of my favorite foundations. I thought they discontinued it. They did not, but it's just, I feel like it's harder to find. Like not all the stores are carrying it anymore. I have LN3. It's just a really pretty kind of medium coverage foundation. It looks gorgeous on the skin. I like applying, well, honestly, everything with a sponge, but it's kind of got this satin finish. It does have a strong scent as well. So if you are sensitive to scent, stay far away. Same, the Missha BB Cream has a strong scent too, by the way. I have 2 kind of serum foundations here. These are both beautiful. The Physicians Formula is gorgeous. Like these are like the same product. But the Physicians Formula shade is not quite right for me. So if I ever bought this again, which I would consider because I do like it, it just ends up looking a little bit too yellow on my skin. This Perricone MD one I bought for the Hilary Duff video, and this one's got a little bit more of a peachy tone, and it ends up working a little bit better on my skin. So you can kind of see the difference there. There's the more yellow and there's the more peach. So I don't know what it is about how once they're blended in, but I definitely prefer the Perricone MD, and if I'm reaching for one of these, this is the one I'm always reaching for. So passing this on, would consider buying it again in a different shade in the future. And something for you to know, they're total dupes for each other. So if you were dying to try this and you can find a shade that works for you in the Physicians Formula, I would say save your money and get that. Actually, now I'm like, well, maybe I should keep this for a future dupes video. I'll set it to the side because it doesn't need to be in my collection, because once I do the dupes video, I would get rid of it. Lastly is this Kosas Tinted Face Oil. This is another one I just feel stressed out when I'm gonna sit and use it, but it can be really pretty. And so it's literally an oil. It's so unique. And it has a weirdly high amount of coverage. Like even though it's super thin, as you rub it in, it's got like a decent amount of coverage. So it's pretty, I just don't know, I just feel stressed when I use it. So I wanna use it again, maybe this week, give it a try and decide after I use it one more time whether I wanna keep it or not. So these are ones that are in limbo. They're gonna be tried this week. I'm literally gonna go set them on my vanity right now so that I figure out whether I want to keep keep them or not. So that is the goal there. I have a feeling I probably won't keep all of them, so some of these will go. So here's everything that I am keeping. So I'm keeping 15. I'm not counting these as separate since they're the same shade, but essentially 15. I didn't quite get it down to 10, but as I kind of look through this, I'm like, all of these make me happy. I feel like when I look at my foundations, I'm gonna be excited. I could blindfold myself, grab one, and be happy with what I picked out. You know what I mean? So I'm getting rid of 18, well, 19 if I do count those separate, but anyway, 18 foundations I'm getting rid of for sure, and then those couple in limbo might also be added. So that's pretty good. I mean, I guess in theory, I kind of cut my collection in half, not as much as I thought, but honestly, I just didn't want to get rid of any other ones. But this is a good, like, I feel like these are the exact products that when I would look at my foundation drawer, I would feel stressed about because I was like, there's too many things in here I know I don't like or I don't use. Whether it's because of the formula, whether it's the shade range, whether it's super old, whatever it is. So this feels so good. There's definitely a couple products in here that are pretty new. Like those are pretty new. That's pretty new. That I know I've got family that'll be really excited to use. So that is always exciting, the It Causemetics ones too. So they'll be rehomed unless they're old and need to be trashed. My hair looks just bonkers today as usual. I got it cut and some of the layers are just a little too short to go in my ponytail. So I just got like, just rocking it, man. That was so much fun. Oh, I love declutters. If you love declutters as much as I do, I have been doing them for years on my channel. I have the longest declutter playlist ever. I will link it below if you want to just binge them. I know for me, I have a declutter list that I watch like of other YouTubers, and I sometimes will fall asleep watching them. It is the greatest, most relaxing thing. So definitely subscribe. I've got more declutters coming. I typically do like one a month for different parts of my collection. And so, yeah, I'd love if you subscribed and joined our happy little corner of the internet, and give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy. Comment below, what was the thing you were so sad to see me get rid of? Or maybe what was the thing that you were so excited that I kept? I'm just kind of curious. And are there any foundations in your collection that you're like, okay, I need to get rid of it. It's time to get rid of. Let me know what that is below. I want to know what you're not liking too, you know? But I hope that you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.